Hi, hello and welcome back to Rock And Roleplay here on Merakis Method channel. Today is super last minute. This was meant to be out last week, in fact, and it just didn't happen last week. I had a really terrible week IRL last week, and I just decided to take it easy, so I hope you can forgive me for that. It's coming out today, and if you were in my stream earlier on today, then you know just how last minute this is coming together, so we're going to try and do it in one shot, friends. Are you ready? We're a little bit... He's a little bit not tilted, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll work it out. Today, first of all, as a disclaimer, as always, I'm not a professional. I have no qualifications that entitle me to an opinion that should be held in any more regard than anyone else's. So as always, friends, I am just here to try and help, to give you guys some information that, you know, might be helpful to you. If it's not helpful to you, that's totally okay. I totally understand, and it's entirely fine. But today, we're going to talk about roleplay add-ons and my top 8 must-have roleplay add-ons. There's a lot of things that you can have, a lot of different add-ons that you can have. I have a lot of add-ons in my game to the point where my friends just tease me relentlessly about it. But these are the 8 ones that I have for roleplay that I don't think I could do without. An add-on, if you don't already know, is a little program, a third-party program made by players, modders, you know, people with that kind of skill base. They're created to not alter the gameplay per se, because they're not allowed to alter the gameplay, but to add to it, to bring different things to it. And you'll see in these add-ons that I'm about to talk about today how that works. But an add-on is essentially something that affects your game or adds to your game or makes things a bit easier. If you would like to get some add-ons and you don't know how to do that, you should probably jump into our Discord, because it's probably going to be a lot easier for us to talk you through getting set up on an add-on management app and things like that in there, rather than me going into it here. Because I'm trying to keep this video short and snappy and sweet, because we're not going to go into too much today. I'm going to show you list out these 8 add-ons, then I'm going to hop into my game and I'm going to show you these 8 add-ons, and show you a little bit about tell you a little bit about how they work and what they do. But I'm not going to go into a lot of them in too much depth. Some of them, to be fair, don't have too much depth. They're just quality of life things, but some do have a lot, and I feel like they're going to be too much to include in this. So I'm going to take out those bigger add-ons, and I'm going to do separate videos on those that I think you'll find useful, because for some of them in particular, there's a lot there that you might, you know, not know on the surface. So for today, however, we're just going to talk through my 8 absolutely must-have add-ons for role-playing in World of Warcraft. And as you can see on my list, I have a lot of add-ons. I will try just about anything if it makes my life a smidgen easier or faster or quicker. So don't worry about all these. I have grayed out everything that is not for roleplay, so we're only looking at these 8 today. The first of the 8, we're going to go in alphabetical order, because that's how this list is laid out. The first of the 8 is cross RP. Cross RP allows you to RP across factions. It was actually created before the Elixir of Tongues was added to the game, and it allowed you to, I think they used communities and things like that to basically allow you to roleplay, essentially, cross faction. That's what it was made to do. Now, obviously, they've brought out Elixir of Tongues, which makes roleplaying cross-faction a lot easier, but cross-RP still has its uses, such as, with it installed, it will give you a little reminder when you're, this is the most useful, this is literally the reason I have it installed, is when you're at a neutral event, it will give you a little pop-up box reminder to refresh your Elixir of Tongues, because without it, I'd forget. It also allows, I think, TRPs to be shared across realms or across factions, so you can like see TRPs for the other faction and things like that. So it's still got uses even around the Elixir of Tongues, making it a lot easier to roleplay across factions as it stands. So even with that, this is a useful one to have. Next in that is Elephant. Elephant I have had installed for so many years now, and it's just honestly an absolute lifesaver. Basically, it's a log program. It keeps logs. You can go into the settings and decide how much it's going to keep, how big the logs are going to keep. But if you ever woken up the next day and had like a follow-on meeting from something you've done in roleplay, and you've thought to yourself, God, what did he say? What was the exact thing that he said? Because I don't want to get this wrong or mix it up or whatever. Elephant will allow you to check back at what was exactly said, so that you can, or if you remember, if you've forgotten someone's name, you can check back. Or if someone has given you a fake name and you can only remember the character name, check back your logs and things like that. It's just, I find super useful, especially if you have a lot going on. It can be really helpful. The next one down here is listener. If I had to narrow this list down even shorter, I think listener might be on like slot 2 or 3. It would definitely make it to top 3 if I had to shorten this list down. Listener would be one of the ones that I would absolutely have to keep, because I'll show you it in game and I'll explain it when I'm showing it to you, because it makes a lot much more sense then. But it is, honestly, I don't know if I could do without it. Misspelled is, as it says on the tin, it's not flawless. It won't catch every single spelling error, but when you're typing super quick, it will catch a lot of them, and you right click and it'll give you some suggestions. And it's not perfect, but it does a reasonable job at catching a lot of, silly typos and things like that. So I live and die by it. I've put Mugget in here just because I've never met a role player that isn't also invested in transmog. So Mugget is a pretty useful tool for putting together different outfits, different armor sets, different things for your character, and different, viewing what things will look like and putting them together with other items, and finding out where you can go and farm those items. So I've put that in there because I feel like that's a vitally useful one. Musician is one that I am new to myself, but absolutely love, because it's just, the things that it can do is just magical. I will explain it more when I'm in game, however. Next one is the number one. Like, no matter what, TRP is number one. And by the way, you can roleplay without any add-ons. Don't get me wrong. You can 100% roleplay without any add-ons at all. It's not at all going to hinder your ability to roleplay. But they do make things a lot easier. They're like quality of life. TRP is one of the ones that literally is fundamental. In that, there used to be MRP and cross, and there was another one. I don't know what it is now. I can't remember the name of it. It was an old one. But they kind of, TRP basically was the stronger party. It was doing more things. As you can see, there's a couple of different extensions for it as well. You don't necessarily need all of those. But they do a bunch of different things now. I'm going to go into TRP in its own video someday soon, because it is, as you can see, quite extensive. It's got a lot going on for it. But in terms of the very basics, which I'll show you in a minute, it's very useful. The next one is WIM, W-I-M, which means whispers in messages. Windows in messages, something like that. Basically what it does is, instead of your whispers coming up in your chat box, each one of them will pop up in their own little, like, does anyone remember AOL had those little, like, instant message pop-up boxes? It'll happen like that. Basically, you get your own little window for every different whisper conversation you're having. So if you get a lot of whispers and you're occasionally like whispering the wrong thing to the wrong people, it's very useful for that, because everybody has their own little window and you have to click into them and stuff. It also keeps a lot of whisper spam out of your chat log and things like that. So I can't have anything without WIM, because it's just, to me, it saves so much hassle. So WIM is one. I have still got my LVUI installed here. That's not a roleplay add-on. That's not on my list. That's just if I log into my character without it, I might have a heart attack. So we're gonna give this a try and see how it goes. Okay, here we are in the city on our longboy as usual. I also had to install my bazooka bar, which is a bar along the bottom here that has my what do you call them? Mini-map buttons in it, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to open anything. But I'm going to show you some of the most basic ones first. First of all, I'm going to send a message to my friend here, and as you can see, it comes up in its own little box, just like that. Super useful. You can minimize them, they go away, they pop back up when someone replies to you. It's super useful. That's WIM. I cannot live without it. Massively useful. Next one is elephant. This is a little blue elephant icon, and it logs every different channel in a different in a different tab, and you can come in here, you can get your general chats, it logs those as well. Like if you saw someone in trade advertising something that you missed, it'll be in there. Things like that, you know, your missed channels, achievements and loot and system messages, and your custom channels. If you have a custom channel made up and you want to take a log out of that, it's all still there. So that's pretty useful. It's very, you know, straightforward. What else did I put on there? Musician. Musician is one, I can show you the options for it, but you can't really see it in action too much unless someone else has it. Every time you log in, you'll get a little message saying there are so many other people around you that have it installed. And what it basically does is it allows you to play music in the game. So if you have a character that's a bard, so long as you have the music files, I believe it's MIDI files, but again, we could do a bigger guide on this one later on, because I think it might take a bit more explaining and tutorialing than just a few seconds can provide. But essentially what they can do is they can play music via their add-on, and this little, as you can see on this little character here, the little music notes come off her head. So you see the little music notes coming off the character's head, and if you also have the add-on installed, you can hear the music that they're playing. It's very, very cool. But yeah, so we can go into that one in a bit more detail later. Mogget, this is what it looks like. You go into modules, you check we're leather here, so you can go into, say you're looking for a leather head, and it will show you your model with all the different heads on it. There's a tick for all of the ones that you've collected. There's not a tick for the ones you haven't collected. And you can also add things to wish list. You can add them to sets. You can preview them, so you can like build custom sets, preview how it's going to look, decide that's what you want to farm, save it to a wish list, and then just work your way through farming it. It's really, really very useful. If you have any interest in transmog, and I figure if you're a role player, you probably have an interest in transmog. The other one is listener. Listener has a main box and a snooper box. That's what they're called. The main box comes up like this, and basically it will show you any chat that's in your area, yeah? And the snooper box comes up like this. This is the snooper box. They're both very, very similar. Both look exactly the same. Both can be X'd out very easily. But it will, and this is the bit that's useful, it will show you all of the past messages and emotes of the person you are like hovering over or targeting. So if you're in a very busy event, like we run taverns, and which is where this comes in to be vital. We run taverns, and in the tavern, if you're trying to serve someone and there's a lot of chatter going on, you don't know if you've missed their order or if you've missed them passing over payment or whatever, and you know you don't want to be rude and ask them again if they've already done it and things like that. If you have this little snooper window open, you can just hover over them, and it will tell, you'll be able to see like their last 6 or 7 emotes, however many you've been in range to see, and you'll be able to see what they last said, so you can check if you missed what they last said. Or if you're near a person and there's a conversation going on, you can hover over them and you can see what they've been saying, so you know what your character might have overheard and things like that. It's so useful, especially in very, very crowded places, so you can literally hover over anyone around you and see, you know, catch up on what you might have missed in the manic chat roll that some events can have. So listener, honestly, is one of my top 3. I wouldn't be without it. Another one is total roleplay. This one is key. This one is key for me, because even if you don't do a lot of the extra stuff that you can do with total roleplay, basically what it provides you is this little character sheet. I'm gonna just extend it out here just so you can see. This is my characters. You've got the main things, their eye colour, their race, their height. You've got a little about section where you can write a little bit of history and stuff about them. You've got a little miscellaneous section where you can select some preferences, do some additional notes and some first glances that will appear when you select a character. I'll show you in a second. And then you can add some notes. Now nobody else can see your notes, so if you want to keep private notes, basically it's your character's notebook. You can keep notes, and you'll only you will be able to see them. So it's, again, super useful. And if you click someone, if you target another player, you get this little box here, so you can check out their profile, check out their mounts. If they've given their mount a profile, you can check that out, and if you've given them any notes, you can check that out. And these little buttons are the first glances, so basically if someone hovers over you, they'll be able to see your first glances very easily. So TRP is really, really useful. It's really, really popular in roleplay servers. If you have it, you'll be able to see everybody's profile, and it'll give you a much better understanding of a lot of the characters that are around. So I would definitely recommend, if you're going to get no other add-ons, get TRP, because it's the one that's going to give you access to the most in terms of roleplay. I think I covered them all. I got Whim, I got Elephant, I got Musician, I got TRP, we did Listener, we did Mogget. What were the other two that I missed? Ah, Cross RP and Misspelled, that's the other two. Well, Misspelled is fairly straightforward. It does a little spelling error line and you right click and fix it. It's fairly standard fare. And Cross RP doesn't have an awful lot to show. It's more of a plug and play one, but it is super useful to have if you're at a lot of like neutral events where there's a lot of the other faction around. And if you use those potions frequently, because the reminder is honestly life-saving. I was at an event in the Argent tournament grounds, and I just, I'd been walking around for a while doing this and the other, and suddenly I couldn't understand a thing being said around me, and it took me far longer than I care to admit to remember that I had forgotten to refresh my potion. So Cross RP is a good one. But yeah, that is my top 8 must-have add-ons. I wouldn't want to be role-playing without them. If you can afford to have add-ons on your computer to the extravagant means that I have, then these are the 8 that I think you should have. If you have any suggestions, if you think you know of an RP add-on that I've missed and that you would find super useful, please do drop it in the comments. I'd be very, very curious to see. I'm always on the lookout for more add-ons to add to my add-on stash, so I would be happy to check out some more if you have any good ideas. Until then though, friends, thank you all for everyone that supports our Twitch channel, supports us here on YouTube, supports us over on Patreon. If you would like to find some more of our content, you can do so in our Discord. It's quite lively in there. There's a lot of stuff going on, not just World of Warcraft either. There's a lot of different stuff. And or on our Twitter or any of those other fun places. They're all linked down below. Until then though, friends, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye!